Fazil and this is my Tata Sierra. As you can see, it's dusty and it's full muddy. But the problem is not that. The actual problem is this is a Tata Sierra turbo. As you can see with the fender flares and stuff, it's a turbo. So what actually happened was the turbo is gone. The turbo is blown. Now it doesn't mean the car isn't working. It's working properly. It's doing its thing. But the only issue there is a lot of smoke coming out of the engine when you are on the boost. So we'll see. We might replace the turbo or we might replace the core of the turbo, which is going to be the sensible thing to do right now. So yeah, let's start with the video. It's going to be like the part series of this engine because this is the air filter and these all are the charge pipes from the turbo, and then we have the actual charge pipe coming from the turbo and going to the intercooler. It's a turbocharged intercooler engine and it going to the engine. So we only are bothered about this part. We are not going to touch here, so we have to remove this air filter and then the turbo hoses. That's all. It's a simple engine. This engine has been provided in a lot of vehicles, other vehicles like Tata Sumo, Tata Safari, TCI, Tata Telco line, and a lot of other model which has gone to Europe. So this engine is not a bad engine. It's a very reliable engine generally, because I guess this is the original turbo from 1999. So if you consider that, it's around 22 years old. And then when you consider the fact that nowadays the turbo of like the M-Hawk, it just goes bad in 1 lakh kilometers. So comparing all that thing, I mean, this turbo has did its part and now it requires a little bit of care. So we'll give that. As you can see, that is the turbo of Tata Sierra turbo. Makes sense, right? So as you can see how black that thing is. I mean, it should only throw air. It's not supposed to pick oil and throw into the intercooler. So that's the reason it's causing the black smoke, because it's picking up the oil which is going to the feed line. As you can see, that pipe in the top is the line where the oil goes and lubricates the turbo. So what happens is usually when the engine gets old, and in this case it's 22 years old. No, we can see the turbo. It's all black and it's all greasy. As you can see, that's significant amount of oil is coming out. So yeah, in this case you can do two things. Either you can replace the whole turbo, which is kind of expensive and doesn't make any sense to put 30,000 on this old vehicle, and the second one is only replace the core of the turbo. So that's the only thing we are going to do. So yeah, let me see the way to pull this turbo out, because all the nuts and bolts have been jammed inside because of how many years this thing has been sitting in this turbo. Hi guys, this is the next day here. As you can see, the turbo is out after 2 hours and 2.5 hours of planning, putting my mind what to do, what not to do. So we just used a little bit of heat from the heat gun. As you can see over there, we used a little bit of heat and some common handset tools like socket, WD-40, ring spanner, and the turbo is out. So the reason we are changing this core of the turbo is this is impeller shaft, and there is considerable amount of play in this impeller shaft. That play would is when this impeller shaft is weak. So what happens is it throws the oil from the intake side as well as from the exhaust side. What happens when it falls on the hot exhaust side? The oil burns and it creates black or white smoke. Usually it creates white smoke, so that means the whole turbo is gone.